what I wanted to speak to you about, you might know already, but I was looking through the stuff they've got at the War Museum, and they've got hours of interviews with Sid. Did you know that?
Wait a minute. Go up?
No, I mean, I've been up once before to get some films, mainly from a ship my dad was on before he was in the Naval Commandos.
Yeah.
But I was just searching all their records, and there's lots of different things. I think I can't remember exactly what it was that I searched for, but they've got various interviews with various people, lots of reels of tape, and I found one that was, you know, part of it was about the Naval Commandos, and I looked at who the interview was with, and it's with Sid.
Yes, it's Sid, and he's one, actually, I don't know who's commander. He had 5, he gave him some to say, you know.
Yeah.
He did come in there. He had 5 cassettes.
Yeah.
And I had 1.
Have you got copies of these, Leda?
Well, I can't say what. We still go through all the things and everything.
Yeah.
The point. I can't. And just, I think it was the museum rated to us.
Yes.
And he said, we had the interview and everything. He said, one thing we didn't have is any photograph at all. If the people, you know, go in there.
Yeah.
And look at, and he said, you don't know who the person is or anything like that.
Yeah.
And actually, we sent 2 photographs.
Yeah.
One they said in Navy uniform.
Yeah.
And another one, a wedding day. Because he said he did want some photograph in 45 in Italy.
Yes. Yeah.
And this when this happened.
Yeah.
And 62 years we'll be married. But we did give the permission to we sign. If anybody go, like if you going, you can have access of the.
Could I mean, presumably, I could get films copied. Presumably, they would copy tapes for me. Obviously, because the bit I'm mainly interested in, is the Naval Commandos bit. But it looks like he goes into, you know, there are a few things on the internet by Sid about, you know,
that really is all of the commander.
Yeah.
But what's up the museum? What's the name? It's just all his life in the Navy from the beginning, 1939 to 45.
Sure, but on the in the catalogue you can see it on the internet, and there's a description of what he's talking about in his time in Italy, say with the commandos, and it does look to be, it's a bit more detailed than he goes into in the pages, you know, in the what is it, the Naval Commandos website thing. It looks a little bit more detailed.
Yes, well,
you know?
Sid done that, but Ken Oakley. And he put him on, and Sid says, he said, well, let the people put him on. He said, you put him on, you know, but I done it. And he spent lots of time, you know, with my son to do it and everything. Yeah. You can get a second of that, you know. You can get that.
Oh, I mean, the things from the internet I've got and pulled all the information out of that. But I was kind of hoping that in the tapes that maybe, you know, he mentions 1 or 2 things that he doesn't mention. I'm sure there's some incident I just read about and I can't read it.
I think it was all about him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he says that it's about the training at, what is it, Armadillo, and I mean, I'm gonna.
It was, I think he done 5 tape or something.
Yeah.
It began from 39. The ship he was the Jervis and the Suffolk, not the ship, I think.
Yeah.
And gradually it come down to the.
Was Sid in the Mediterranean all the time, or
sorry? Was
Sid in the Mediterranean all the time, or?
No.
Ah, okay. Don't worry.
Well, it went all over the place, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
39, 40, yes, 41, because I think I mentioned it. My brother was in Italian Navy.
Yeah, you told me about that,
Yeah.
where Sid was on the ship that sunk your brother's ship.
Yeah, he was in the Jervis, and this was Cape Matapan.
Yes. What was the name of the ship that your brother was on, Leda?
FIUME.
Okay.
It was three: Zara, FIUME, and Paul.
Sure, yeah, because I'm slowly educating myself about the Navy in the Second World War. You know, I didn't know a lot, but I know a fair bit more now.
You know more now. We'd have to go to school.
Yes, yeah. Leda, is Ray Bromley still alive, or is he...
Yes, but I think he go on a holiday.
He managed it, because last time I spoke to him, which was a long time ago, Ray had given up the treatment because it was too much for him.
Yes.
And also his wife, she'd got I think it was a benign tumour or something on her eyelid or something.
Yes, I think she had two operations on her face, but she was all right.
Oh, good.
But they worried, but I think Monday they go.
Oh, that's brilliant, because I sort of thought, I didn't think Ray would last much longer, considering how he sounded last time
Well, I tell you the truth, every time she rings me up and I say, oh, please don't give me bad news.
Yeah.
She just, you know, he don't take anything now, and they can't give any more treatment because it would be too much for him.
Yeah.
And he accepted to stop the treatment, and when he come.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he still go out, she take him out and everything.
Yes.
And now they decided to go to Scotland on Monday.
Yeah.
10 days.
Well, that's. I think that's what they wanted to do. Was like one more holiday, wasn't it? Was the impression I got.
Just to keep it going, but I would be scared to stay for because you know if anything is happening. But they're different type from me.
Yeah.
You know, I would worry, but they're just. If it happened, it happened, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this has to go to life for somebody who's stronger than other, but you know, it is hard, very, very hard.
Yeah.
After you live with a person for 62 years.
Yeah, no,
you look around, you see the photograph, but you didn't see the person, and
I know.
You can't believe it.
I know. I mean, it's. I don't know. You must have lost your parents a long time ago, Leda. So, you know, but that's just happened to me, losing my mum, and it's like the last 2 years she was going downhill, getting more and more out of breath and weaker. And but she lived in Birmingham, and I got a phone call from my sister saying that she'd collapsed, and you know, she was with her in hospital. And I got in the car, and I got as far as Sevenoaks, and she sent me a message on the phone saying you better pull over, you know, and she said, I'm sorry, you know, it's Mum's dead. So that was
it's shocking, you know. You tell the people, the only person I understand that, like you said, the person who's been through.
Yeah.
And to be the first person in the family, or you know, somebody who died to us. My son, they never strained from the hospital to come back, and he just couldn't believe it. You know, it's terrible, and you keep thinking, it come back to you, you know, and it goes through the mind and around your mind, you know, why this, why that, you know, all of those things.
I suppose, but nobody lasts forever, Leda, do they? And it was, I mean, Sid's mind, you know, he wasn't entirely with us, was he, really?
No, it's just, you know, quite a few months. So some moment, you know, it was quite all right, but you could say it was go down with the strain with everything, and the last week he wouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, he looked on the food, and we used to force him and everything. He wouldn't take medication anymore and anything. And we thought maybe, you know, go to the hospital, they do something. Well, they did, but it was difficult because they couldn't give him the drip because he was a diabetes.
Yes.
He only could give us so much. And that's that.
But the consolation would have to be, Leda, that it's. I mean, he reached a pretty good age.
Yes.
And there's friends of ours, you know, up in London, and there's a girl who's a friend of my wife, and a friend of hers was. She was getting some money out of a cash point, and a car which was being chased by the police just went straight into her. Killed her. Her boyfriend was, the car that was stolen was being chased by the police. It hit their car. Her boyfriend was in it.
That has happened to my friend in Guildford. The police was chasing the person.
Yes.
Is in prison.
Yeah.
And she's been in hospital for 5 months.
God, how is she?
Well, she's older. She's over the 80.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't know it because, she's Italian.
Yes.
And she was in hospital when the Seaton was in hospital, and I didn't know it.
God.
And she's at home now, but she can't hardly walk,
Jesus. Yeah.
And I was going to tell you, have you got in touch with the Ken Oakley?
Ken Oakley, I haven't. I tried to get some information out of Ken Barry a few times, but he seems to be a bit, he's preoccupied with, I think his wife is not very well.
No.
There's one person that I did get in touch with, I think, it's a fellow who was an officer in N3 called Hugh Birley.
What's his name?
Hugh Birley. He's in the photograph of, the photograph outside the orphanage. He's in that photograph. The officers in the front row. He's about the third from the left, I think. And he was living in Scotland for years, up near Lossiemouth. And I haven't spoken to him for 6 months, but he was reasonably on the ball, 6 months ago. I'll give you his phone number if you want it.
Wait a minute.
I can't remember if I'd spoken to him last time I spoke to you.
You don't mean...
Birley is his name. Sub-Lieutenant Birley. He started farming up in Scotland, I think, after the war.
It's so funny, I don't know that one.
Well, because he was N3. He was a sub-lieutenant in N3. Sub-Lieutenant Hugh Birley.
Hugh Birley? B-I-R-L-E-Y. Hugh Birley. And he was a beach master in N3. He joined from Anzio onwards. Redshaw? Yeah.
When Redshaw left?
Yeah.
He joined. He met Redshaw for about 10 minutes.
It's funny I don't know that one because I did know more or less all of the others.
Yeah, because he never got involved with the reunions or anything because he was so far away up in Scotland. He never even heard about it.
Yeah, the only one in Scotland now is Remain. And actually, I don't know if you did got in touch with him or not.
What's that name again?
It's Brian Wally.
Yeah, I tried. I sent a letter to Wallace.
Yes.
Yeah, I sent a letter to the address that I had, but it was returned. He's not at the address, so I can't...
I'll tell you now what's happened.
Yeah.
I'm across. He don't know about CD. You're going to be sorry.
Yeah.
And he changed the house.
Yeah.
But he rang me up at Christmas.
Yes.
And he said, I haven't sent any Christmas card because we are on the move out.
Yes.
And we going to rent the place for a little while because the house is not ready for us to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if the chain and the mortgage, the things like that. I don't
Was
know.
it Doncaster or somewhere that he lived?
And he said, I'm going to go and live in the country. Soon we settle down.
Yeah.
I'll send you the new address. I haven't heard it. Actually, I was thinking today, and I said, I wonder when he's going to let me know.
Yeah.
He was very, very lazy for writing.
Yeah.
Sid was, he was lazy to do the paperwork when there was on the back of my house,
Yeah.
He said, always used to get told off by
Yes.
his high commander, And he says, at the time you settle down and do the work, you just used to hate to do the paperwork.
So you don't have a phone number?
Nothing.
Nothing. So you just have to wait for him to contact you?
Send him the address. And, the way he is, and his wife was not very good.
Yeah.
And maybe it'd be Christmas, when he sent a Christmas card, maybe he said, this is my new address, you know.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I never heard of that one. Is anyone else knowing?
Do you want his phone number, Hugh Birley's phone number?
Well, I wouldn't, if I never know him, and it won't be the point to talk to him.
I think he remembers my dad because he was like my dad's, he was one of the officers in N3 and Dad was in N3. And he remembers, that incident where, was it John Russell, in Anzio, where he got his leg blown off.
Yeah.
I think Burley was saying that him and my dad were just inside the place they were clearing out. I think N3 were clearing out and, what was it, N1 were arriving, is that right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And they were just the other side of the wall, standing together on a stairwell or something when that happened.
When it did happen, I didn't know that. But I wonder if he did carry on right up to the Adriatic.
Hugh Birley, he carried on until they bumped into Popski's private army up in Ravenna. And Birley and Tom Turton were going to a meeting to meet with Popski to organise something or other with landing craft that Popski wanted them to give him a hand with. And just that day, I don't know if you know much about Popski, but he got his hand blown off. They had some incident where they bumped into the Germans and they had a bit of a firefight, and Popski lost his hand, and because Popski had lost his hand, Popski didn't turn up at this meeting that he was this meeting he was supposed to have with Tom Turton and Hugh Birley, and so the
Sorry,
okay.
I did have very bad bronchitis a little while ago, and it's still there's a ticklish in my throat.
Well, maybe the sunshine will clear that up.
Let's hope so.
But they, instead of meeting with Popski, they met with a fellow called John Canary, Canary, they used to call him. They met him instead, but he said nothing much came of it, because they didn't have the landing craft to...
It's funny, because I know that he used to pass on the back, and my poor mother, I told you when the CD came in with his friend, and to ask if he wanted to wash his white uniform, and they used to go to another little town for dancing evening.
Yes.
And my poor mother, she told us, CD used to do for... He's dead now.
Do you remember a fellow called Len Crickmar, who was an officer?
Do I know him?
From the wrong side of the tracks.
Have you found that?
He's alive, yeah. He's
still alive?
I've got his phone number. I've spoken to him. Do you want his number? I don't know if you do or not. Well, he's a bit of a rough diamond, you might say.
I don't know. He was living with a woman. If he did go married to her, he married the Italian girl, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think they split up again after that.
Yes, she's dead. She died.
And then he was some kind of policeman in Africa somewhere after the war.
Yes, he got in trouble in it. You know nearly everything about it. But you could write another book.
Well, I've been trying. I put together from various books, and from what I've learned from all you guys, I put a few things together, but then I did like one chapter of a book, which was just all to do with the Sicily bit, the landings in Sicily. Yeah, going from Scotland to Sicily.
Now, if you did speak to Ray Bromley, I told him off when he came last, and on New Year's Day he came to us.
Yes.
And because he came to see the funeral, but he was not very well. He couldn't come back at home. Yeah. And he said, in a couple of weeks' time, he said, we'll come and see you. And the New Year's was. And we was talking about, and was to go back to, Italy, this, that. And he said, I remember when we landed to Pacino.
Yes.
I said, where's Pacino? He said, this place. I said, no, he was that. I said, do you mean a Pacino?
Pacino, not Pacino.
He said Pacino.
Because Alan Whicker was just around the corner. You know Alan Whicker, the broadcaster bloke? He landed with the the 51st Division, just around the corner, just east. Yes. It would be east of...
There was a different... part, but there was all around, Yeah.
No, I've sorted out exactly which beach, because I think it was N3 did, let me think, Roger Amber Beach in Pacino, and N1 did Roger Red, and N3 did Roger Green. And within a few days they were taken off that beach because it was useless. It wasn't very good for landing stuff, and they went around the corner to a place called Porto Paolo or something like that, a little town just to the east. Yeah, because there's a lot about it. There's a big sort of Admiralty report about the whole thing, which goes into a lot of detail about it. I'm trying to think, because you know the incident where Ray Bromley and his mates supposedly stormed this pillbox in Pacino? Because I spoke to Peter Lightfoot about that, and he said it was just one little Italian kid, trying to hold back the whole of the 8th Army. And that it wasn't quite the heroic deed that it's put down as, do you know what I mean? That they were a bit drunk and they went a bit too far. So that Peter's still a bit upset about that by the sound of it. So perhaps you can't always believe what you read in books,
No, well, sometimes they did plaster something, Sid used to get upset.
Yeah.
Well, when he did the first book, he was a lady, he couldn't put anything.
Yeah.
And because the first book had been written by the fellow, he was unwell, you know. We met him.
The Hampshire?
Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when the SYD had been told, you know, if he wanted to put something in the book, and it was too late, you know. But when the SYD realized, he more or less, you know, he sent the book because he died after a little while, you know.
Hampshire?
Hampshire, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the trouble is with authors is they want the exciting bits, don't they? They want the shooting people through the head, you know, as much as possible.
Yeah.
And, you know, but just the ordinary day-to-day stuff they're not that interested in, whereas I am, because I'm just trying to reconstruct in my mind what my dad was...
I just want, I better write it down and I'll ask my son if he knows him. What was his name? You?
Birley, let me just find him again. His address is a bit complicated. Have you got an email address, Leda? I could send it to you. That would be easier. Have you got an email address?
Well, I'm a bit ignorant about that.
All right. I can give you Hugh Birley's phone number. If that's, I can give you.
If you know, when I speak to Ray, and they're going to come and see me when they come back.
Yes.
And I'll ask him because that name I never come across. I mean, it was a crickmar. It was.
Do you want Crickmar's phone number? I can give you that.
I think I still got in the book.
Oh yeah? Because he's in Beckton, I think, which is East London. He's very cockney for an officer. You know, most of the officers are very posh, you know. Oh, hello, how are you?
No, he was a little devil. He'd been through lots of blimmin' things. Nobody could think about it.
Well, he threatened to shoot my dad upon one occasion.
Yes.
He said that they were... They were skinny, that they found a cow or something, and there's Crickmar's there, and my dad's there, and a few other blokes are there, and they're chopping this cow to pieces just to get something to eat, and then Tom Turton comes over the horizon, reasonably drunk, and sort of says, oh, you know, like to my dad, and come along with me, I want you to do something, yeah? And Crickmar lifts up a gun, and he said he put it to my dad's head, and says, you fucking go with him, I'll blow your fucking brains out. You know, that's what it is, yes.
That is him.
He's on a different wavelength.
In a hand, he finished with one of those little, oh God, there was a caller. He used to drive all over the place. He would have thought there was a blimmin' German inside.
A vehicle, you mean?
Yeah.
He told me that he drove to Milan with some other guy from Ravenna, I think, and ended up...
That is the person who finished with his wife. And in the hand, he gave up. I come across some photograph of the other day, I think.
Have you got many photographs that I haven't seen, Leda?
No, I just come across those.
Yeah.
Sid had with Bill Redshaw somewhere.
You sent me one of Bill Redshaw sitting in a Jeep back in England.
Yeah.
No, actually, Ray Bromley gave me the photograph, and he said it was Tom Turton, and you corrected it, and you said, no, that's Bill Redshaw, sitting in a Jeep.
Yeah, but I didn't know everybody, like I did say, my poor mother, he told her, well, Sid was do the worship for VARLEY.
Yeah.
Alec VARLEY.
Yeah, I know the name, yeah.
And his other mate, he used to do, we couldn't find him. We don't know if he emigrated, if he died, or what's happened to him.
What's his name?
We searched. His name was Hitchcock.
Hitchcock, I don't know.
Tony Hitchcock.
Yeah.
And they come in together, and he said, if Mama want to do a bit of washing.
Yeah.
And my mother said, he said, we pay for. My mother said, I don't want the money. I said, I can't buy anything with the money. He said, if you give me a little bit of extra soap.
Yeah.
And they come in with the two big bars of soap, you know, used to be in those days.
Yes.
No powder, but bars of soap.
Yeah.
And this is how we begin, you know, see they start to come and this and that. And like I say, I know Turton and I know Kipling's and Wallace, all of the others, but that one, Barley.
Well, he remembers... He remembers most of the people that were... And I wish I could tell you exactly which one he was. You know the big photograph of all of them?
Yeah.
In that photograph, I think he's the third from... You know, in the front row, he gave me just about all the names of the officers along there.
Is the third on the right or left?
I think it's the third from the left, as you look at it.
On the left.
As you look at it and count 3 from the left, I think that's him. but it might be that I haven't got the photograph in front of me and I can't find it. I've got a big drawer full of stuff.
Like I said, used to say, somewhere they only joined them later.
Yeah. Well, that's what he did. He didn't do any of the commando stuff up in Scotland. No. He was waiting for a posting to a destroyer or something in Alexandria. Yeah. And they said, "Oh, we got a new job for you," and they sent him off to take over, in
the commander.
to the commander. So when he turned up in Anzio, I'm trying to think if he actually even did the yeah, he did. He did the landings in Anzio. But before that. No, that's right. He didn't go straight to N Commando. He was in, I can't remember which bunch he was, but he did the landings in Salerno before Anzio. And then he was changed, his unit changed, and they said, "Oh, you can go off and join N." Because I got him from, I think it's David Lee's book. You know the second book, David Lee's book, with the black cover? Because I was reading that, and it was talking about this burley fella who was at Salerno, and then it said, later on he joined N Commando, and he was with, and there's a few quotes from him about his time in N Commando. So I asked David Lee what his, if he had his phone number, and he did. So, that was... like I say, never been in association... No, because he's way up in Scotland, Leda. He's completely in the middle of nowhere. Lossiemouth, there's a sort of Fleet Air Arm, or there was a Fleet Air Arm thing.
Quite a few from that part. There's another one who was with the SYD in... according to the G finish in a commander. Yeah. And
wasn't the Suffolk was involved in chasing the Bismarck, wasn't it? Was that before Sid got on it or after or what? There was the Norfolk and the Suffolk were chasing the Bismarck round the top of Iceland and down into the...
Sid had been in Iceland too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, well, so...
yeah. Sid had been there because he was telling us the snow, the iceberg and everything.
This would be May 1941 was when they were chasing the Bismarck. I don't know where Sid was at that time. Yeah. I don't suppose you know of it.
There was, because of this, when my brother's cruiser sank, didn't it?
Yeah.
41.
Yeah.
29 March 41.
March, April. So that was a couple of months before. It was the Suffolk, and I just want to write that down. And Suffolk. I know it was the Norfolk and the Suffolk, because one of them had radar, and it was following the Bismarck kind of out of range, just trying to keep track of it. Till,
I know, it's been all over the place. And go back to Ken Oakley, he had a 2 accident, but he's all right.
What happened to him?
Well, he fell in the garden, and he couldn't get up. He fell on the side.
Yeah.
And he smashed all of the side of the face and the hair.
Yes.
And when I rang him up, and he said, "I just come out of the hospital, I've been 4 or 5 days or something."
Yeah.
And a few days ago, or last week, I think, and Bromley rang me up, and she said, "Ken had another accident." I said, "Oh my God." I said, "He went out without the stick because his legs are not very good,
Yeah.
And he said, "No," he said, "he was walking the path, and the car, he went on a path. I don't know if he was trying to park and something. Just didn't knock him over."
Jesus.
And they said, lucky enough, he said it didn't hurt him very much. But all the while I've been through, I still get upset when I talk to the people, and I rang him up, and I was going to send him a card, but he said he get on all right,
Yeah. No, I mean, I know, Leda, with my mum, I mean, it's very, very raw when it first happens. It's like a sort of, it's like an open wound. I cried my eyes out. I went to the church down here a couple of days after my mum died, and it was Remembrance Day. It was the 11th of and I went. I didn't even know it was Remembrance Day. That's how far away I was. And of course everybody was there with their regimental banners, and there was a bugler at the back of the church playing the last post, and I just bawled. Do you know what I mean? There was tears rolling down my face.
Well, Ken Oakley, when you know it, if he knows somebody died, you send the reef.
Yeah.
And the reef is always the poppy reef.
Yes.
And he sent the one to Sid. And when we went and see him in the chapel, and he always said, when I'm going and I'm taking my badge with me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you can have your blazer with the badge,
Yeah.
And He was really looked lovely, peaceful. He looked young. He didn't look he'd been bad, nothing.
Yeah.
And the reef arrived a few days before.
Yeah.
And he was on the side in there.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine how I felt.
Yeah, yeah. I know, my darling. You'll pull through somehow, you know, you will.
Actually, the cemetery is not very far from us, only about 5 minutes.
I know.
From my son's bedroom window.
I know.
And we look in there, we could see, you know.
I know, darling. It's the changing of habits, do you know what I mean? Like you wake up and you think, where's Sid? And then it's
just a change, but I find...
It's sometimes...
3 months now.
I know.
It was the 22nd of... February.
I know. It's like when the phone rings, I mean, quite often, well, not so much now, but I used to think, oh, that's probably Mum, you know?
Yeah.
Or I haven't rung Mum for a bit, and I'll get halfway to the phone, and I think, whoa.
I just felt that I'd never... The road or anything to go, you know, I find myself like I was lost. Like,
your son lives with you, doesn't he, Leda? Is that right? Have you got your son there, or are you on your own there?
No, my son is with me.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Well,
he's Andrew, not married. He's not married. He's with us, with me.
Yeah.
And the older one is, he come on Monday.
Yeah.
The boss, his wife and her husband, when they go to the half term, so they come in.
Yeah.
They live outside Southampton.
Yeah.
Italy.
That's near where Bromley lives, isn't it, Southampton?
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's people around, Leda, which is... I was talking to my brother and my sister, because they were really the only people who knew... Do you know what I mean? Knew the person like I did, and we spent a lot of time, me and my brother and my sister, talking about Mum, and it slowly, it kind of, it still hurts, but it's not so raw as it was. Do you know what I mean? It's
you know it, but the years went by so quick.
I know, love.
And then I keep thinking, I said, what's up? Is he gone? You know, why this? Why that? And well, even the priest told me, come in, you know, a couple of times, and he said, I said, I don't tell you to forget your husband. They said, but you left. I say, he's with God. I say, he's all right.
Yes.
I say, you left. Say, if you want to cry, have a good cry. I'm still go around. Like yesterday, we went in one place, and I didn't know, and we always used to go in there.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, she said, where is he?
Yes. Yeah.
I looked at her, I said, not with us anymore. Oh, she nearly dropped dead.
Yeah.
She really said, I'm ever so sorry, you know.
Yeah.
And it took weeks, you know. We used to go shop in the supermarket. He made a friend with the manager in there, and he talked about all of the commander, you know, and he was very, very interested.
Yeah.
So when I went back, you know, they only looked at me, and I was sorry, you know. But I was crying. There was a cry with me, you know.
It was worse. I mean, people dying. My wife's mother just died. She had a brain hemorrhage completely unexpectedly years ago, and we had a copper turned up at the door in the middle of the night, and just sort of rang the doorbell, you know, and said, "Was that your doorbell, Leda? Is that?"
No.
Oh,
it's the clock.
I thought perhaps there was somebody at the door.
It's funny. My niece rang up from Italy, and the clock went. She said, Auntie, what's there?
Yes.
I say, it's London Big Ben. I said, no, I say, it's the clock. I said, the door is open in the sitting room, and I said, you can hear.
Yes. We
switch off at night, otherwise it's a nuisance.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to have to go in about 1 minute because I've got to go and pick up my son from school. But I just wanted to ask you, do you know, because Len Crickmar told me that Tom Turton, he took over a pub in Tunbridge Wells, which is just down the road from me, called the Duke of York. And the pub is still there. I was in there a few months ago, and I found out that he was the landlord from it's sort of mid-1950s. And then Crickmar told me that he fell down the cellar steps or something when he was drunk, and that's what killed him. Is that right?
It's true. It's true.
In the sort of mid-1950s.
It's true.
Yeah.
What? That's when he come back. And have you got anything? Anybody told you what's happened to him in Italy? Because he come back before everyone else come back.
Yeah.
Did anybody?
No, no. Tell me. What happened?
Well, because I never did find out.
Oh.
They did hide that. But
Oh.
yeah.
Well, you mean a scandal or something?
I think he had another accident. He was drunk and drive, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he broke his hands or something, and he'd been sent back
Yes.
to England before.
Well, I think that Hugh Birley came back in about, I think it was about February 1945, and he was, so that Turton was with him at the time, so this is when he was supposed to meet Popski, but Popski didn't turn up. So Turton must have been still in Italy in about February 1945, but then Birley came home because he hadn't had any leave for a couple of years. So Birley came home early. He wasn't there till April, whatever it was, May, till the end of the war. He came back in about February, so, you know, and...
Because we got married, and sorry if I make you late, we'll have to talk another time. We got married on the 30th. We went to Rome for the week.
Which month is that you got married, Lida? It was...
30th May.
Okay, so the war was over in Europe by that time.
The war finished the 8th.
Yes.
And we got my city come back straight away down to me because it was a few hundred miles, you know, from the north to the Midlands.
So when he came back from, was it Ravenna that he was in? Or?
Yes, Ravenna. Yes. Yeah. From Ravenna.
Yeah. And
he came in, and we had registered and everything, you know. And actually, it was a crickmar. They told him, he said, go and see LEDA and tell what paper we needed to get married. Yeah. And we had to go to the place where he got married. It was about 3 or 4 miles inland.
This is the place where Crickmar got married?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he told me what paper I needed, this and that. And actually, this is when I met his wife, first of all. Yeah. I went to that place, and I went and asked his wife, and she explained to me in Italian. Yeah. He said, you needed this, and that. And we done all the paper. And lucky enough, Sid, he didn't have the birth certificate with him, and he read it to his sister, but it didn't come in time. Yeah. And he said, well, it doesn't matter. He said, if we got 2 English witnesses and somebody there, he said, yes. He said, we know it. He said, 2 English prisoners, ex-prisoners, who got married in the little town. Yeah. And they come in and done the witness, and he didn't need the birth certificate, you know. Yeah. He said, well, if we tell a lie, we don't tell a lie. We believe what he believed. He had his book that we will carry with him. Yes. And like I said, Crickmar done all of that. We got married on the 20th in the registered office. So
Crickmar was pretty helpful to you about all this then, wasn't he?
Well, so some of the things to see the 2, you know. Yeah. And he already got married, and his wife was expecting. Oh, we had lots of trouble with him.
Okay. Lida, there's one thing I want to mention. You know, the medal business. My dad got a DSM, right? Yes. Now, I got a fellow to go up to the to Kew, to the Public Records Office, and look up the records about that. Yes. And it turns out that my dad I asked him to look at Turton as well, because Turton got a mention in dispatches for the same thing. Yeah. And Turton was actually, there isn't any sort of detail about why the whys and wherefores or anything, but Turton was put down for an award the same time as my dad was, and then as it went up the hierarchy in the Navy, somebody crossed out award for Turton and put an M by it, and that's why he just ended up with a mention in dispatches, because somebody just with the stroke of a pencil crossed out award and put M for just a mention. So Turton would have got, I don't know what it would have been, a DSO or something, would it? If it hadn't been sort of downgraded by somebody to a mention in dispatches. But there's no explanation of why it was,
When did that happen, do you know?
When did it happen? Yeah. I'll tell you, Lida, are you in tonight?
Yeah.
Because I'm getting a bit nervous now, time-wise. Can I give you a ring back tonight, and I'll be able to tell you exactly which person Birley is and all this business.
From upper 6 to 9 o'clock.
All right, my love.
I'm sorry, you know, but it's so many things, and we finished to talk about Crickmar too.
Yeah, well, I'll pull out all the bits of paper that I can find, and I'll be a bit more informed. Yeah. Yeah. So stay cheerful, darling. It's not. Do you know what I mean? You'll get through.
All right.
All right, my love.
All right.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for a chat.
All right, my love. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.